morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you so much for joining me this whatever time it is, wherever it is you are. Welcome to this episode of Immigration Yarns. Okay, what is Immigration Yarns really? This is a platform where we're going to be talking about all things immigration. I bring you gist from all around Canada, right? Okay, give me a second. Let me see. Um, hmm. Okay, let's go. Today I wanted to talk to us about the Live-in Caregiver stream. It's popularly called the nanny stream. It's that stream that opens up in January of every year. And guess what? It fills up really, really, really fast. Like, I remember in 2023, because my sister was filling out, and in 2.5 hours it was completely full. Like, it typically would open up at 9 a.m. Eastern time, which is about 7 a.m. Western Mountain time. And before you know it, like in the twinkle of an eye, it is completely full. And the same thing happened. I don't even know if this year was up to 2 hours. Like, in 2 hours is completely full. So if you're thinking of using the nanny stream, what should you know? What should you have ready? Don't be thinking, oh yes, then I'm going to create my profile. No, people already have their profiles created. People already have their applications done, ready to click on submit. And you know the way Canada works. Once it's full. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, it just fills up like that, and then boom, it's done. So really, what is this stream and what can you do to prepare for it? First of all, it's that stream that allows you to come into Canada as a nanny. But there are a few things that you have to have in place for you to be able to qualify for that stream. First of all, of course, you have to have your identity. Like, you have to have your international passport, right? Something to show that you can travel, like a travel document. Yeah. And then the second thing is that you have to have a job offer. And when I'm talking job offer, I'm not talking LMIA. You just have to have somebody who is willing to say, oh, I want this person to come and stay with me, or I have a need and I want this person to sorry, give me a minute. I hear that my camera is a little dusty. Let me just clean that up. I think that will be like oh yeah, that looks so much better. Um Sorry, a little bit of technical things here that we're trying to sort out. Um Sorry, just give me 1 second and I will get back to it. Okay. So I was saying that so first off, sorry, just give me technical things. Please just give me a second and I will be right back. So, like, first of all, of course, you have to have a valid travel document. That's what, like, to qualify for it, you first of all make sure your travel document is ready, and you have to have more than 6 months on it at the time that your visa is going to put on it. So you have to have a travel document that doesn't expire in 6 months. That's the first things first. And then the second thing I said was you have to have a job offer. And when I say job offer, I'm not necessarily talking about LMIA. No, you do not need an LMIA for this stream. What you need is somebody who already lives in Canada, who is either a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, who can say, yes, I have children under the age of 18 that this person wants to come and take care of for me. Right. So you have to have somebody who has children or a child less than 18. It doesn't matter whether they are 14, whether they are 15, whether the child is 11, as long as they are less than 18. Because 18 is considered the age of adulthood here, right? So the child has to be less than 18. So as long as you have that, then another thing you need to have is you need to have a language test, like language proficiency. So either your IELTS or CELPIP. As long as you have that, no, you don't have to have a 7. You don't have to have a 8. I think somewhere around a 6 will do for the nanny stream. So if you can have that, then of course they want to know that you have some level of intelligence. So some bit of education. So you have to have your education credential assessment. Usually that is done either by WES, World Education Services. I mean, there are a number of them. You can use IQAS. Then you can use Alberta has one, Ontario has one. So there are a number of them. I think there are about 8, yeah, about 8 or 10 bodies that usually does the educational assessment, and you can use any one of them. The most popular one is just West. That's the one that like almost everybody knows. Everybody just goes to West, and then yeah, but you can use ICAS, IQAS. I've used IQAS before, and then there's ICES. So you can use any one of them to verify your degree, your result, whatever it is, you can use to verify, and then we go from there. Another thing you need to have is work experience. Of course, you need to be able to prove that you have experience being a nanny before, right? So, like, maybe from back in your home country, whatever country it is you're from, you need to be able to show that you have experience as a nanny. So, it might be an employment letter, maybe salary, maybe pay slip, pay stub, whatever it is you can put together to show that, oh yes, I do have experience as a nanny. Then you put all of that together. Of course, you have somebody in Canada who says, yes, I have a child and I want you to come and help me take care of my child. Then you can go apply as the under the nanny stream. There are a few things to note, both for you if you're the employer and for you if you're the employee. Just and the Alberta government tries to put this, or the Canadian government tries to put this out just so that people are not taking advantage of other people. First of all, is your employer has to provide acceptable working conditions. Like, they have to provide acceptable working conditions for you, and then your duties have to be reasonable, right? Like, reasonable within how do I like, they're not going to ask you to come do carpenter work. They're not going to ask you to come do plumbing work. No, your job is a nanny, and your responsibilities has to be tied, or your duties has to be tied around that. And then another thing is your employer is obligated to pay you the fair market wage. As a matter of fact, before this person can say, oh, I have a need and I want to bring somebody in to come and help me take care of my child, they have to submit their own income statement or their notice of assessment, like their tax filing, just so the government is sure that if they bring you in, they can take care of you adequately. They will be able to provide for all the things that you need as an employee, right? Of course, then they have to provide you private accommodation because you have to be living in their house. It's a live-in caregiver stream, so you have to live with your employer. And guess what? Your door has to have a lock. So whatever room they're giving to you has to have a lock. You have to be able to lock it when you're in your room, and you have to be able to lock it when you're going out, just to have that privacy. It's one of the conditions that your employer has to provide. Another thing is you have to have a key to the house, because it is expected, like, this is where you live, right? And you need to be able to come in and go out whenever you need to, as the need arises. So yeah, that's one of the conditions. I also need you to know that you're actually protected by the employment standard legislation, which means that your employer is obligated to give you days off every week. And not just that, you will be entitled to the statutory holidays. Yes, it is a thing. Like, you're not just working 24 hours, 7 days a week for 365 days. No, you're entitled to the statutory holidays. And if you work overtime, your employer is obligated to pay you. Then, of course, I already mentioned that they're obligated to pay you at least minimum wage. But again, the wage is calculated based on experience and industry. And then a few things that should also come with it is maybe your employer has health insurance for you, workers' compensation, just in case you get injured. And then, of course, some of your deductions will be like, because you're on a work permit, you need to pay your taxes. So your employer already takes out your taxes and remits it to the government. I mean, all of that your employer has to have in place, right? Okay, so um the conditions really of your visa is that it's an open work permit. Again, because things are happening, right? And we see people taking advantage of other people and whatever it is that is going on, all around the place. So the Canadian government came up. It used to be a closed permit, which means that you can only work with this employer for the duration of 2 years. But now it's an open work permit, which means that if this person brings you in and they're not treating you right, and that's why I kind of like read all the conditions of your employer to you. So if you feel like, oh, this person is not treating me right, maybe you're paying me below minimum wage, or the living conditions is not ideal. I'm not saying be greedy. I'm just saying, like, it's not ideal. You feel threatened, or you feel like your life is at stake or something, you can go find somebody else who needs a living caregiver. Because it's an open work permit, you can always leave your employer, but it is open, but it is occupation restricted. So you can't just come in as a nanny and just wake up one day and say, oh no, I don't want to work for this person again. This person is maltreating me. Now I want to go and work as a pharmacist, because from my home country, I trained as a pharmacist. That's not how it works. And you can't just wake up and say, I want to go and be an administrative manager. I don't want to work with you anymore. No, that's not how it works. You cannot move into another industry. You cannot move into another occupation. But within this one occupation, you can change employers. That's what it means that you have an open work permit. I also did say earlier that you don't need an LMIA. So you don't need to have an LMIA to be able to apply. You don't need an LMIA to be able to qualify. Just for the fact that you have the experience, you have somebody who says, oh yeah, I have kids that is below 18, then you qualify to apply. Then the beautiful thing again about this is that it allows you to get Canadian work experience, really. And then, one of the beautiful things that is going on again with this stream is, once you apply for the nanny stream, the living caregiver, you automatically apply for your permanent resident at the same time. Like, it's one stretch, you fill all the applications, you do everything. So you don't have to wait 2 years after your living caregiver experience to now get into the pool and then wait for invitation to apply. No. Once you get on that board, once you're able to get into the stream, your permanent resident is already applied for. So at that point, you get to make a choice. You can decide. If you're single, then that's fine. You can apply for yourself alone. But if you're married and you want to come with your family, you decide if you want to come with your family. Once you're coming in, all of you can apply at the same time. And if you don't want, then you can apply alone first of all. And once you get in, you can sponsor your family. But There's really nothing stopping it. Like if you were married and you applied, then your spouse would also get an open work permit. But no, your spouse will not be tied to that occupation. They would be free to walk around any occupation. They won't be tied to your occupation. But you will be tied to that occupation. You're not tied to the employer, you're just tied to that occupation, which means again, you can get a job with another employer, but you cannot leave that occupation. You can't leave live in care, or you can't leave the nanny as we know it and say, oh, I want to go be a doctor, or no, I want to go be, yeah. No, you cannot change occupation like that, but you can find another employer within your occupation. Yeah. So basically that's all I have on this nanny stream. The other stream that really isn't like very popular, like a lot of people also talk about, is support worker, like home support worker. That's the one that maybe for elderly people or for maybe a child with disability. That one is actually opened all through the year. They have similar conditions in that you have somebody who has an elderly person, or they have a child with a disability, and you say, oh yes, I have experience in this and I want to come through, I want to come work for you. They have similar eligibility. You still have to have a valid travel document. You still have to do your English test. You still have to do your educational assessment. But just that you will be working with somebody who has a child with disability or an elderly person, it will still be an open work permit. You can apply for your family, you guys can come together, or you can come alone and apply for them later. It's pretty much the same thing. But the nanny stream fills up really fast because that's a little easier than people who have elderly parents. Don't forget that if somebody's going to apply for you to come take care of their elderly parents, the elderly parents in and of themselves has to be either a citizen or um a permanent resident. And people who look like me, who have the color of my skin, majority of us don't have our elderly parents here. Majority, I say, don't have our elderly parents here. So, but I mean, I don't know who you are. You might have somebody who has that. Then you can apply for that. But if you're targeting to go through the nanny stream for 2025, this will be my advice. Go write your English exam now. It doesn't expire for 2 years. Write your English exam. Make sure that you have a minimum of 6 on all the abilities: speaking, writing, listening, and reading. Minimum of 6. That's my recommendation. And then when you have that, go and verify your results. Verify your results. Verify your results. Have your money ready, because I mean you have to pay the application fee and all that. So verification of results, you can use WES. That's the popular one that everybody knows. You can use IQAS. I did mention that earlier. You can use ICES. And I mean, generally, you can just, there are about 8 to 10 of them, but those are the 3 that I'm quite familiar with. So you can use any one of them to verify your results so you have it ready. It does not expire for 5 years. The validity of that is 5 years. So go do it now. And sometimes verification of results sometimes takes I think 35 working days with World Education Services. I think with IQAS it might be maybe like about 6 to 8 weeks. So verify which one you're using, verify how long it would take to have it ready so that you can have your documentation ready, have your proof of funds ready. You really don't need a lot of proof of fund because somebody's employing you. So your employer has to have their own part of the deal ready, their own documentation ready. Have your police report ready. You're going to have to do police report. So do your police report, have it ready. Look through the eligibility, all of the documents that you need to get ready, get it ready. Create your profile. Maybe sometime in December, sit down and create your profile, right? Once you have your profile created, upload as many documents as you can. Read through it, all the process, so that maybe all you have left to do is to just click a button that says pay your money and submit. Trust me, that thing fills up within 2.5 hours. And I think that's even putting it mildly. In 2023, like I said, it filled up in 2.5 hours. This year, I'm not sure what the stats was. I think maybe about under 2 hours. People are ready, people are waiting, people are planning. You don't want to be caught unawares, right? So please have all your documents ready. If you know that's a stream you want to go to through, find somebody who's going to be able to employ you. And if you need help walking through any part of it, you can reach out to us, send a DM, send us a message. We will be glad to sit down and walk you through it. That is all that I have for now. If you have a question, let's say you're not watching this video live, you get it at some other at any other time, you can just put a comment under the video, or you can send us a private message and we will be sure to get back to you. That will be all for now, and I will see you next week. Next week, I'm going to be talking about something really juicy. It's about penalties in Canada. Yeah, like there's penalties everywhere for everything, and I will be bringing you that scoop next week. That is all for now on Immigration Now. Over and out. I'll see you. Thank you for joining me, and bye.